In my earlier video on probability, we have talked about experimental probability, where we are repeating the trials in an experiment to record the outcomes. Now, if that repetition of those trials we want to avoid, we can assume that outcomes are equally likely. So, and when we assume, this assumption gives us the probability which we call theoretical probability or classical probability. Now say formula again we'll write for this, the probability which we have to check for an uncertain event. We write probability of an event will be calculated by checking number of favorable outcomes for event upon total number of possible outcomes. Let's take one example to check favorable outcomes and to check total number of possible outcomes. If I am talking about a die, now what numbers are seen on die? Numbers on a die are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if we want probability of an event, first we will write total number of outcomes, and this total is always written in the denominator. You have written, just seen in the formula also. So total number of outcomes are 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now in case my event which I will be writing as E is getting 3. Now how many times 3 is visible? One time only. So favorable outcomes are how many? Only 1. So you can write number of favorable outcomes is only once I can see 3. So number of favorable outcomes are 1. So for this, now you can write the probability. So first thing, you note down what is the total, and then you count how many times you are successful. So probability of this event will be E. I have mentioned here, event E is getting 3. Only once I can see 3, and total is always written in the denominator. So probability will be 1 by 6. Now let's talk about elementary event. An event having one outcome. Now let me take an example. I have one red ball, one blue ball, and one orange ball. Now first let's check the total. 1 plus 1, 1 orange we have. So 1 plus 1 gives me 3. So we can, now everything given is 1. So when my event is getting a red ball, my outcome will be 1. If I want a blue ball, my outcome will be 1. So when the probability is 1 upon 3 in this case, these are called elementary events when the outcome is 1. So total number of balls is equal to 3. My event is, which I am marking as E, is getting red ball. So probability of my, let me name it as E1 because I will be taking for all the balls. Probability of E1 will be 1 red ball out of 3. So if my event is, which I am taking E2, is getting blue ball, so my probability of this event will be 1 by 3. Now let's talk about the third one. So when the outcome is 1, 1, we call them elementary events. So if I talk about probability, first let me write the third event, which is getting orange ball. Now my event is E3, getting orange ball. Now you can see when 1, 1 each was there, my outcome is 1 whenever I want success in my event. So getting a blue ball is success here, so that is only one option out of 3. Getting red ball is my favorable outcome, so that is my 1 out of 3. So when we talk about probability of E3, it is 1 out of 3. Now these outcomes are 1 in this case, so they are called elementary events, and sum of these probabilities of elementary events is always 1. So you can see now probability E1, probability E2, probability E3. All these probabilities will always add up to 1. Let's check. 1 by 3, 1 by 3 and 1 by 3. My LCM is 3 in this case, and numerators can be added now. So I get 3 upon 3, which is coming out to be 1. So an elementary event is an event where the outcome is given to be 1 only, and when you add up these elementary events, you get sum as 1. So we can write the sum of the probabilities, sum of the probabilities of all the elementary events of an experiment is 1. Now whenever you add up probabilities, the sum should be 1. So we can also write, if probability of event we check, and if we check not happening of event, that is not E. Probability, if I am looking for a green ball, I have so many balls, so not getting green and getting green, if you add up, the sum will always be 1. And how do they write not happening of event? As probability of E, and this is written as E bar on it, that probability of event and not happening of event is always 1. Sum is always 1. And this E and E dash E and E dash. What is my E dash? Not happening of event are complementary events. You call them complementary events. So we can say E and E dash are complement of each other. Complement of one another. E and E dash are complement of one another.